Sorry, guys. Got the mic on, showing all these knives I'm making out of files. My uncle's watching and texted me. Thank you, John. So I've got 10 or 11 out of old files I'm working on. I haven't heat treated these yet. They don't have anything near an edge. I'm just getting a rough grind on them. Gonna heat treat them and try and be done the next couple days. It's 13 or 14. This is one I was showing as Damascus from some scrap. It's not heat treated yet either. It's easier to do your rough shaping and grinding before you make them really hard, and then I'll harden it with a quench and temper it in the oven for a couple cycles at 400 degrees, a couple hours each time. And yep, got some cutting boards too.
Gonna take off the filing. This side, they're pretty much gone.
We'll get this a little better set up so you can see. Got the file marks almost gone on both sides. Got a little more to do. If I had this is 80. If I had maybe 36 or 40, it might do a little bit better with this, because this is mostly, it's really kind of just a stock removal. I'm not really even worried about my final bevel for the edge yet. I just want to get the rough stock removal done. And I'm also freehanding stuff. If you had a jig, you could really speed up and avoid messing up. But these are so thick right now that you have a lot to work with. It's really just hogging off the metal. Let's see if this is, I need to really flip this around somehow. Wear it probably. Just can see what I'm doing. If I work that angle right there, it can kind of show a little bit better, but I'm going right-handed. Let's do this. I know what to do. I know what to do. We're going to move a couple things around. Something I'm really not good at is thinking about which way I'm going to be oriented and which way to position the camera. Just got to figure it out as I go. Can't put too much thinking into stuff where I don't do anything. Just going to flip everything for now. That little grinder can go back up where that one was, but I need to come through my garage and throw shit away. But once I have this other shop space set up, it's going to be a lot better, I think. This is... If we can just get a little closer, that'll work good, I think. Watched a video today when I was waking up this morning about a guy making knives saying, you know, you don't have to spend $1 million, or how you can really accumulate a lot of money spent by getting a million little things you need, like clamps and a drill press, and for knives, you know, you could get some kind of cutter, CNC or plasma, if you were going to do just stock removal knives and cut them out and make them and crank out 100 knives in a batch, you know, spend $1 million. But this guy's kind of saying, you know, you can start with a file and a hand drill and a cheap grinder. And I'm trying to keep that in mind when I'm working, not what can I get to make this easier, but maybe even getting something that's a little simpler, and a hand tool can make it, you know, if you're struggling getting a, I can't ever think of what this, you know, this is kind of a flat grind I'm going for, but that line right there, you can cut that in by hand with a file and do better sometimes by hand. It's almost time to order a new one of these, or maybe cut off some trash. In the summer, this thing has gotten hot a couple times, I think. Junk gotten spilled on it, but these will clean these. Good belt. Some of even the cheap ones I have will last a long time if you just every so often. Probably can't hear me. I don't know. I forget the grinder's probably pretty noisy, but you can run that eraser on and keep a belt going for a long time. This one's getting pretty worn out, but it's also 80 grit, and if I was using maybe something a little more aggressive. The thing is when you're just doing stock removal, anything you do, it's going to be getting hot fast, and there's sometimes it's better to go a little slower. And show you before. Keep working on it for a little bit. All right, I'm going with this. I'm thinking this is going to be kind of I might even cut it down the shape of it a little bit to something a little smaller, but just a little general purpose, kind of bring along camping or keep with you for cutting up stuff. The grind I'm going to put on it should be decent for pretty much anything, slicing or chopping through stuff, and hit. It should be strong enough to be able to strike it with something, a log or something, and if you were playing around splitting wood up or something, it should be pretty strong. So I'll leave it fairly thick. Let me get back to grinding for a bit. Got my uncle watching, and he texted me, asked me what I started this as. This whole pile of small knives came from files 10 or 11 old files that were piled up. Garage over in Tarrant, Alabama burned down, and the guy's 95 years old and had kind of hoarded old files and little things. People had kind of picked through it by the time I got there, but those files are great for knives, and you can do cool stuff, whether it's really rough and you just forge a knife and it's integral and no wood or any handle material, just beef it up in the handle and thin it down in the forge. And they're a really good thing to practice with. If you hammer them when they're not hot, the best thing to do is try and get it soft. So put it in the forge for a long time, take it out, cool it off. People use all kinds of stuff like a bucket of hardwood ash, and they'll set it down in there and do that a few times, and that can soften it up. These I didn't spend too much time. I would let them be in the forge for a while and get them really hot, and hammer on them only when they're hot. And I would forge out basically. I put all those. I'd forge out basically. Say this was the file. It had a handle on one of them, and I've left that on there right now. And I forged out two, and then with my hot cut, separated them, forged out the rough shape. And then some of these I've gone back and forth, grinded a little bit, and then took it over to the forge and straightened it out, or tried to either add texture or take texture away. This one's been in the forge a lot. It's going to be, the final shape's going to be changed up a lot. It's been heated and hammered on, and probably going to grind on it and get it kind of flat and make sure it's really straight as possible. And then got to heat treat all these at once. Most of them should be to be the same heat treat, so just do it all as a batch, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. This one was just in the forge the other day, and I've done no grinding. Everything's been shaped on the anvil, cut on the anvil. It just usually I got two out of a file because I want to leave a full tang on most of these. Some I might do like that, and those hold up pretty good with a nice epoxy into a block. And then some I'm drilling pins, and we'll do two individual pieces. This is one that I can kind of show you a before and after real quick, just a couple minutes on the grinder. Let's see if I can get it to really. It's pretty rough right now, but I'll put some time into grinding on this one. But this one's still not heat treated. Oh yeah, this one is heat treated. So it's important not to get it hot on the grinder. Unless I'm crazy. I know I heat treated this one, and man, I should have paid better attention, because I think if I have pinholes in it, this is the only one I sharpened up that wasn't. The thing is, they've stayed so hard that the only thing I'd really want to do is harden them more, because I never get them super. I don't understand with this steel. They stay really, really strong and stiff and hard, and so that's one thing. Is I with one I hammered on it a little too much when it wasn't hot, and probably wasn't properly annealed, and it just cracked all through it, all over the thing. So I'll work on this one for a minute, because this one's getting pretty close to ready for me to drill a couple pinholes. Actually, this one I might put into a block as well, just it'll save time, and for the most part, those, if you do it right, it'll be really strong. I punched it to do some holes, but this file steel is tough on drill bits. No matter how I've gone slow, and no matter what, it seems to tear them up. And I might just start doing them, heat them up on the anvil, and do them with a hot punch kind of thing. I don't know what it's called. You just punch and heat, and with these pin holes, you don't really need a hole that's very big. But this one, I tried and tried and tried to get through it, and every bit I used kind of just burned up. I'm gonna probably throw it back in the forge and try finishing through with the. So that's one thing I got out of that fire too, was a bunch of punches. I made one that was huge into a hot cut, and that's what I've used to. It's a lot faster, and you kind of save metal forging and cutting with the hot cut than you do if you cut everything with an angle grinder or chop saw and grind everything. You wear out your belts. I mean, these belts you can spend a lot of money over time on them, and you can also wear them out necessarily fast if you can get close to your finish. I almost ruined this charger. I hope I didn't. I had it sitting right up against that grinder. Wrap that with a little electrical tape real quick. It's one thing I'm always figuring out, that if you pay a little attention to what you're doing, you will fuck up a lot less. You're gonna fuck up stuff, but I'm wondering if let's see if I can. think I'm going to take the point down a little bit more. Not the point, but the spine. Let's see here. Where I've got file markings, I think I'm just going to take it down. I kind of like the little mini clip point stuff, but also like just a simple blade. I like something that when you stab it in, it really stabs in good. You know, you can, I don't know, you can fuck around with the shape so much. I like points. Maybe more, you know, sometimes I like more of a aggressive point. But, you know, that one is, I hit that shape right there a lot. I use the bucket and this smaller cup to keep it from getting too hot. Um, and this one is actually already heat treated and ready to temper, I believe, and then I put the handle on it. I like to just go ahead and get them sharp and um, run a couple things through it, run it through a couple things and see how it does uh, before I even temper, because sometimes it's with these repurposed materials, they don't do exactly what you think they will. Especially I'm getting it fairly hot here and there. Try not to, but I think I'm going to jump onto the 120 with this one real quick. And then from there, I'll do it all by hand. I have some other, I might use some of these other belts I have actually and run it up real quick through those and kind of show you what I finished, from 80 to a higher grit looks like on one knife, and then call it almost at an hour and doing stuff all day. And I'm kind of sick of it right now. Sometimes I do something I like so much, I get to a point I'm tired of it. So here's a brand new 120. We'll run through these real quick. That last one was 80 grit. Got a good, I'm happy with where it's at. Get to the 120 now. I'm going to move up to a, it's out of the way for a second. My little guy up. They make belts for this one I've been using that are, 200 and all that stuff. This knife, I'm actually leaving the file texture where your thumb could be. So if you're holding it, it's actually going to have that texture, and planned for it to be kind of a edge away from your handle a little bit. Your finger, you have a little bit of a break. Put a wood handle on here, and yeah, I'm going to run it through a couple of these belts right here that are some kind of almost like a felt. I always go through and feel them for a second and go, yeah, that feels like something, This blue one is what gives me takes it to a nice, I don't know, maybe 600 or something. They have it on their website, and I can never remember what's what. besides that, this one is kind of my next from 120th. One thing I can do real quick. I'll actually take a 220 and do it by hand for a minute. 120, 220. And really anything, you can roll up a piece of something. I do it 2 different ways. I'll lay my knife flat, work it for a minute. You can do this wet. You can get something flat and get a file. This paper I don't like to use really wet, maybe a little this and that, but what I'm doing here is kind of just blending my grind lines before I, and also just that belt I'm about to use isn't very, doesn't cut that much, so if you use something that from 120 to 220, you could do, I've got some other one I'm going to go to in a second with a, you gotta be careful. At this point, this thing's jaggedy, but it'll cut the fuck out of you. I do a little bit along the bevel. See, it's not perfect, but sometimes I let it be. Keep hogging material, and then before you know, you have a little tiny knife. And all right, take this 220. There we go. Try and get in these drawing lines right here. You can go for a while if you want with that, but I try and not take it too far. I just use this wood. It's pretty hard, this ash and something else I glued together for handle material. And at 320, it might be, all of it might be better to do it wet. But I'm kind of also just speeding through this to kind of show a quick, good enough. At this point, I should still have a good burl. I'm kind of working back and forth. Sometimes as you skip up and you get to 320, you start to see, that's a little wonky. Sometimes I like the handmade kind of rustic edge that isn't just perfectly machined and one side to the blade's not totally identical, not totally symmetrical. All right, so did it to 320. I've got some 600 all the way up to something like 5,000 for polishing some stuff. But what I'm going to do is run this belt and kind of just be done with it for now and take a break. Gotta help this one get going. Now, if I have a piece of leather, one thing I might do is actually go back with this 320 for a second on my edge. Rework that edge a little bit. Now that's a 600. Okay, great. The 320, which wouldn't be terrible. 600,000 right here. See a lot of people go with the edge on stuff like this. I do both till it's dangerous. You know, on the belts, you can fuck some shit up with that. Stepping up from, 80 to however many thousand, however many you want to do is a good way to really get a good finish on something. But it just depends on how perfect do you want to get this knife and how much time do you want to put into it. For me, I don't mind it having some rustic. It's going to hold up really good. I don't care about it being a beauty queen. I'm still actually, I think, working a burl back and forth. Probably need to strop it onto something, but that's 1500, more 1500s, 800, could have gone to that, 1200, 1500. I had some that were up to like you know 4 or 5,000 or something, but I might have thrown them out because they were worn out. We also got some leather around here somewhere, but haven't seen it when I've been looking for it. This wood actually can give you a little bit of a strop. I've used upside down the bottom of a ceramic bowl. Let's see how it's cutting though. Find me something. Start thicker material. This isn't going to be very sharp. Whenever you try and rush and make something in 10 minutes and get something sharp as quick as possible, if you want a real good razor edge, it's good to kind of take your time, look at what you're doing. Got a, from almost finished knife earlier to just about ready to put a handle on it and give it away. Right now it'll cut. Yeah, it's cutting some hairs. It's not razor sharp. It's scraping a lot of dead skin. Sometimes you can just start over for a second. Get a little 120. Sometimes that last belt will get a nice finish on the material, but you kind of have worn the edge down a little with it because it gives. 120. 220. And that alone sometimes you get back to, I've got an even burl on there. Take my 320 right here. Burl's going that way. Take that burl off. It'll probably transfer it over to the other side. Yeah, that's pretty even. Go back. Yep. And work that back and forth, or you can go on up to 600 right here. Some people can get a knife super sharp on the belt, and it's hit or miss for me. A lot of times I still have a lot to learn, I think, with it. Knives I make, though, I want somebody to take them and tear them up and use them and not go, oh, this is a handmade knife, and I don't really like all that. Let's see if I did anything better. Need my leather. I've got some somewhere, but I have my belt right here, but I don't think this leather on this belt is very good quality for that. I need to just keep a strap out here, but let's do it on the belt. That felt like a better cut to me. Oh yeah. See, now we've got to shave. Sometimes you can sit there and try and work it and work it and work it, getting it sharp, and sometimes it's better just to go back down to a lower grit and get that burl back even, and then you kind of work it back and forth. So what I'll do is I'll tape that up so that when I'm gluing my handle on, I don't cut the shit out of myself. But I like to get it as fine finished with the grinder as possible, so that when I get the handle on it, I don't get the handle on there and can't get the same thing with before you put the handle on. You might want to try and get it close to the shape because once you've put the two together, you can really fuck up all the work you did, and you can't get some of this work in when you've got wood in the way on the grinder. So maybe that's a little tip. But I'm happy with this one. See if the tip breaks off. Didn't really do anything there, but it's just some soft plywood. Huh? No, it looks like it did bend slightly. Yep. So something with the heat treat, I think I just bent it back. Wasn't perfect on that. I rather a knife bend a little bit than just break, but you don't want it to bend. You want it to be hard and take abuse and stay kind of true. And maybe that's something that needs to be either said, hey, this is not going to be the most durable knife in the world, but just see what you can do with it, and I'll make another one day or whatever. I like them to be abused and test it out, and yeah, you can see just the slightest bit of edge. A really, really perfect finish and perfect, when I say finish, perfect temper and heat treat. You can just dig and gouge and go all day, and that really is what makes a knife really good or bad. Is, people do things different ways for different methods. If you're not going to be doing any abuse to it and just slicing, you might want it to be a little more of a brittle steel is okay. But still learning with these files. All right, I'm out of here.